Well, I want to reintroduce Pat Frost, and he can come up here representing the California Fire Safe Council now. He's on the board of directors with the California Fire Safe Council, and has been a huge help to us when we first got started here in Siskiyou County about 12 and a half years ago, when he wasn't even on the board with the California Fire Safe Council, just a next door neighbor, and helping us to get a leg in the stirrup.
Okay, so like Dale, I really don't like the microphones. Do I need to use the microphone, or can I just yell at you? Can you guys hear okay?
You're good.
Okay, so as long as nobody like turns on a blender or something back in the kitchen, I guess we're okay. So as Dale said, this is the 5th one of these conferences, and the first one was held, and I can't actually remember what year, but I think 2000 or 2001, we had the very first one in Weaverville. And what I would like to do is, at first I want to thank Dale and Giselle and the Fire Safe Council of Siskiyou County for taking the lead on bringing us back together again. And it's pretty interesting, Northwest California Fire Safe Council, and I guess, I mean, are we annexing, maybe we're annexing Tuolumne County into the Northwest. But it's really great that, you know, we're able to bring together Fire Safe Council folks, and yesterday Frank and I were at the California Fire Safe Council board meeting in beautiful downtown Ontario, California, and the first thing that I thought about this morning was I was coming over from Trinity Center, taking what we call the IP road, the Park Creek Road, hoping that there wasn't any snow at the summit. Once I got that far, and I realized how lucky we are to be part of Northern California, and to, you know, at least not have any fires right at the moment. You know, Southern California, San Diego County, 9 fires at the moment, heading towards Escondido. But that same beauty, as I'm driving through the forest, I'm thinking, you know, that's what we're so lucky to be around, but it's also our greatest risk. And it's so incredible that people get together every couple of years. We seem to be able to pull together a conference. Last one, Savelle helped out. It was over in Fortuna in December, I think it was. And if nothing else, you know, this is a great opportunity to share information and share our experiences, positive and negative. You know, things that have been working, things that haven't been working. I won't be able to be here all day. I think Frank is here at least all day today. So one thing we want to get out of it as the board members for the California Fire Safe Council is what can we be doing better, you know, as, you know, the clearinghouse. And to me, you know, there's a time every year when we aren't all working together because we're all sitting in front of our computers trying to outdo each other to get those clearinghouse grants, right? But then once that's over and the dust settles and some people get grants this year and some people don't get grants, you know, in a particular year, we all share. We all share experiences on what works, what contractors are our favorite contractors, you know, who does the best kind of work, how can we improve our CWPPs, how can we work at a county-wide level, but also not lose track of the fact that we're really working house by house, neighbor by neighbor, getting the good work of Fire Safe Councils done. And one thing that I would hope that would come out of today, and then there'll be a commitment on my part, is that before you guys all leave, I guess tomorrow, something that I would hope is that you guys will kind of sort out maybe a potential date and host for the next one of these Northwest California Fire Safe Councils. My commitment will be to try to work with the state Fire Safe Council to see if we can't get some education related money to help support it. You know, they just had an area Fire Safe Council meeting down in Southern California, 150 people there. Of course, they got millions of people to choose from. And you know, the California Fire Safe Council knew far enough ahead of time that they were able to ante up a little bit. And so my commitment as one of the board members representing this northern part of the state would be to try to help make sure that we can continue to have these kinds of educational interchanges or exchanges of information. Towards that end, I was hoping that the Orleans Soames Bar people would be here. Right now they're not here yet. They probably, you know, up this way, right? I mean, everybody knows there's two seasons. there's winter and road construction, right? And so winter's pretty much over, never really started. But I can tell you, road construction, definitely that season started. So Will and his folks are probably still on their way. But I have actually a certificate of appreciation or recognition for the town of Orleans. And that is that another part of what the California Fire Safe Council does is that we help support the FireWise Communities program. And this 2013, the town of Orleans, which is one of the FireWise communities, was chosen for its leadership and dedication to making the community and residents FireWise, fire safe, and fire adapted, and was the grand prize winner for the state of California in the 2013 FireWise challenge. And they got a $5,000 grant from State Fire. So I'm going to give this, I guess I'll give this to Dale so you can make sure that they get that. They had, I think, a barbecue and kind of a ceremony the beginning of May, to celebrate it over in Orleans, Somme Spar. But that's awesome. I mean, here, tiny little community, and they're out there every day working, to make their community more fire safe, just as all of you guys are. So I'll leave this here, Dale, for you. And that's really, I guess there are a couple of things that came out of yesterday's board meeting I wanted to mention. One is, and I think we're somewhere close to the boundary of PG&E service area, right? But some of you, how many of you might get your power from PG&E? So if you're in an area that gets your power from PG&E, Neil Fisher, who is PG&E Vegetation Management staff person and on the California Fire Safe Council board, announced yesterday that under essentially the direction of the California Public Utility Commission, which directed all of the investor-owned utilities to do whatever they can, whatever is practical to help deal with this drought year and the increased fire risk. They're going to be putting out several $1 million worth of money to get vegetation management done in the areas that they serve. Hopefully by the beginning of next week there will be contact information and a little bit more on how to submit a proposal. They are not going to go through the California Fire Safe Council because our process is kind of long. They want boots on the ground, and as Neil said, sawdust being made, by the beginning of summer. And they're going to work it kind of directly with fire safe councils, conservation districts, whatever other entities are out there doing that kind of work. So kind of get on the California Fire Safe Council website beginning of the week. I'm assuming they'll also do kind of an email blast to let people know. If you're not in their service area, well, tough luck. You don't get, yes?
Is it for maintenance of their corridors, or did they say?
It's much broader than that. There are about 5 different categories of things they're going to fund. Everything from reopening fire lookouts that have been closed to fund them if they are in their service area, to some fairly specific utility corridor kind of projects, but more broadly vegetation management. They recognize that the fires don't have boundaries, and so whatever they can do to make sure that if they have something spark off, it doesn't get anywhere, that's what they're looking for. And I don't have any more detail at this point, but if you're in their service area, really, I think a really good opportunity to get some work done, this summer. Think about it from the point of view also, one of the things they've already asked the grant managers for the California Fire Safe Council is who's got open grants, that also are in those service areas. So they may be contacting, if you have an open grant with the California Fire Safe Council and you're in a PG&E service area, they may contact you, but don't wait. Money goes, as we all know, money goes fast. So anyway, I wanted to let you all know that. Yeah?
Yeah, they've already contacted us, and we submitted plans for some grant money we're spending on projects. We've got power lines and things like that, we submitted maps where they are.
Cool.
Come in and clean them and all of their own expense.
Yeah. So they've said that everything from, like, if you're using inmate crews, they would rather inmate crews be available to fight fires if you replace the inmate crew with a regular crew, they'll pay the difference in the cost between CAL FIRE inmate crew and a crew. So I mean they're really open to trying to get as much done as they can this year. So anyway, that I think is really important. Yes.
Can you differentiate between, you say there's service areas, for instance, in our area up here, the watersheds, PG&E area, their operations, but we don't pay a bill to them because we're on a different power company.
Yeah.
So is there a differentiation between
Yes.
land management?
Yep. They're not going to count. They're not looking at where they generate where the power comes from. It's where they have customers they serve.
Just customers, then, so not the watershed?
Not the watershed, and for like example, Trinity County, very little of Trinity County has PG&E service area, only the far western. They didn't have to go that far. They're in Weaverville today for our collaborative, but the collaborative would not be as successful as it has been since it got rocking and rolling if it were not for the new leadership, at the Shasta-Trinity National Forest. And I just wanted to introduce Dave and thank him for all of his efforts to kind of get that moving and keep it moving. So take it away, Dave.
Being on the stage and a microphone, I want to sing a song, I usually start out with a joke. Carolyn told me I can't tell any. She's heard some of my jokes. Yeah, well, thanks for being here. I pretty much want to, meet and greet you and say a little bit about the Shasta-Trinity National Forest, especially for those of you who don't live in this area and are coming up to here. Tell you a little bit about our programs, and even for those that live in this area, bring you up to date on our bigger programs. I won't get deep in the weeds because I'm only here 15 minutes for speaking. And then talk about a little bit, especially about the way the Forest Service views the relevance of the Fire Safe Councils to the work done on National Forest System lands. And I just want to share, as recent as yesterday, what I was asking and hearing from our employees about on that very issue. Yeah, I've only been here 9 months. I came over from the Forest Supervisor position in the Beaverhead Deer Lodge in Dillon, Montana. And often people will ask me, "What, are you nuts coming to California?" And it's like, well, yeah, but that has nothing to do with me taking the job here. This is a great forest. I mean, the Shasta-Trinity is a very exciting forest. It's the biggest in California, and it has all incredible diversity of programs. And that's what's it's very challenging. And so I want to share a little bit about that. If you're not from this area too, in a little bit of perspective, even though the Shasta-Trinity is a very large national forest of 2.1 million acres, we adjoin other national forests in Northern California, and that's the Klamath to the north, which borders Oregon, and actually I think goes into Oregon a little bit. The Six Rivers is on the coast, so we border them, the Mendocino to the south, the Modoc over here, headquartered out of Alturas, and then the Lassen, and pretty much that's who we border. And then of course you roll on down into the Plumas country and on down. So the management of your national forests with communities is incredibly important in Northern California. As was mentioned yesterday, I was meeting with Trinity River Lumber Company out of Weaverville, and usually when I meet with somebody from Trinity County, they quickly, within the first 34 seconds, remind me that that county is 78% national forest. Usually point being, it's very important that we work together. And it is, and so that is also true in the larger context of all of Northern California. As far as our forest, our programs are big. Funny, coming from Dillon, Montana, which is kind of a sleepy cow town, southwest Montana, I got here and the issues are very similar. Now, in some ways different, but travel management, very similar issues. Local communities want access to your national forest on roads and trails and motorized uses, as well as the quiet uses. So that is still a big issue that we work on continuously. And it has a lot to do with integrated vegetation management because that's the other big issue. Over there, we dealt with 1 million acres of dead and dying lodgepole. Everybody knows lodgepole, when it goes up, it burns. Stand replacement. That's what it's going to do. That's what it wants to do. And even if the bark beetles tick it all, it's going to happen. Here, fire management is different. There's a lot more players. We didn't have the fire safe councils over there. Here we do. The complexity of fire is larger, it's more intense, and it is reflective here of, in the Forest Service, fire management and suppression is taking half of our budget. So those things are very similar. Similar but different here. As far as the Shasta-Trinity National Forest, we also are a huge recreation forest. You're on the doorsteps of Mount Shasta. If you want to know a lot of details of that, our district ranger is here, Heather is here, and knows a lot about those things. I have sound bites, and that's when you're on a big forest, you just learn little bits and pieces till you get around a lot. But we just do a whole lot. Top half of that mountain, it is snow covered today, is wilderness. I think it's 33-some thousand acres. There's a small, if you came up I-5, we have another wilderness area that was only 8,000 Castle Craigs. The Trinity Alps is 400,000 acres. I'm bringing up wilderness because that's a very important aspect of our national forests. And it's the 50-year anniversary, if you didn't know that, of the wilderness system. So that's pretty cool, and there'll be some celebrations statewide with that. A lot going on in recreation management because that also is, again, access to the national forest. If you're not from this area, you may not have heard there's proposals in moving to final EISs to raise the dam, Shasta Lake, the dam. The Bureau, so that's a government-owned dam, Bureau Reclamation managed, just 18 feet though. So that's not that high. However, that was kind of a joke. It tends to flood the entire national recreation area. Yes it does. I didn't think that was a big deal because marinas float and everybody recreates on a boat. I was wrong. Marinas do float, but if you're going to park and go to a marina, you need to park somewhere. When you raise this thing 18 feet and you kind of cover the roads, the campgrounds and all that, it gets to be a big issue. But as we sit in California wondering about water, it's all about water storage. So you can see that reservoir could be down today, but as if you move into, as Eric was sharing with me, the El Niños, that thing can fill up rather quickly. And I do want to point out as far as where we're at with fire management, as you again look at it, Mount Shasta, mostly this whole winter, that thing was bare. We finally got snow on it late in the season, and we're only at 20% moisture. So as we talk then about fire management, everybody's pretty nervous. We're hearing about 1977. I was on the hog fire then, the CDF, by the way, for my Cal Fire friends. And most of them aren't old enough to remember the hog fire, and some of them do. Yeah, I remember that. Then there was 87. In 87, if you're in the Forest Service, anywhere in the West, all your friends were on the Klamath because of the fires there, it seemed like all year. And they came back in the fall and they were all really, really sick because the smoke conversions were so bad in 87. And then there was other years that you all know about, 2000, 2008, and we're sitting here very uneasy. And the uneasiness is we're at 20% moisture. We haven't even gone through our preparedness reviews on Carolyn's unit or any of our other units for our fire engines, 20 of them, all those crews, the 2 hotshot crews, and the helicopter. And already, yesterday or the day before, there go the Shasta Lake hotshots down to Southern California. And boom, here comes our helicopter, just came on 506 out of Trinity, and boom, down to Southern California. And so the machine is going. And it worries us because, it's actually, I was talking to Chief Titus yesterday, put it very well, an analogy that hit home that I'll steal now with pride from him. He used the analogy, Dave, it feels like a helicopter coming in to a landing and we're at 100% torque on the meter. Okay, if you know about helicopters, that's not a good scenario, right? You're out of power and you're still coming in. And so here we are taking off into a fire season, sometimes with the feeling that last year's fire season didn't stop. So this all relates to the fire safe councils. and I'll get there in a week to 10 days. I'm supposed to be reading my notes. I wrote these, really, it was a pretty good speech. I want to make sure I haven't got off track. Integrated vegetation management. There's a lot of perceptions out there that because you read a lot about it, usually the negative stuff, that we're stuck in the water. I mean, stuck in the mud, not the water. And we're stuck with going forward with integrated veg, and the integrated part refers to timber management and fuels and other ecological restoration. The fact of the matter is, on this unit and on our other units on the west side, we are highly challenged, just about on everything. Challenge meaning we get appeals, mostly litigated, and Carolyn's folks are at 100% torque meter, yet we are moving forward. The challenge is it takes us at least double the time, because when you move into those things, you are double the time. We still deal with the spotted owl, Northern California. Here's a fact, I got here and I've heard always, I've been in Idaho and Wyoming and Montana, and spotted owls, I don't care. We had grizzly bears and wolves and things. Well, here the owl this is the stronghold of the spotted owl still. It has nearly perished and been removed or gone away in Washington. And Oregon is not doing well, so it's really, really important here. And we're implementing still new recovery plans after 20 years of the Northwest plan. So it makes it all the more important as we consult on how we do these integrated vegetation programs. So that is one thing we deal with. Pretty challenging, but we're moving forward.
Well, thank you, Dave.
I'm not done.
Oh,
Now I'm going to sing that song. Am I almost out? I have to get to the most important part of my speech, the relevance of the fire safe councils. So I'm new, so I don't have a lot of perspective. I've only been to one, and I was like, I had to ask my chief one in the office in Reading, what are these? What are they all about? So I just got a glimpse of one down in Reading. But yesterday I was meeting with all of our fire leadership on the forest, and I said, I'm coming up here and give speech, because there is food, and good food. And so I asked, what do you think is the relevance? Heather was there, sharing some things, and I didn't have to, just about all the hands went up, and I recorded those. I want to share with you what our fire leadership thinks of the work fire councils do. These are sound bites, so again, I'm not proud, but I didn't make these up. So just from yesterday, here's our fire leadership. They said, the councils are the voice of the community for fire management. That's a pretty powerful statement right there. They're not saying the Forest Service or the BLM or CAL FIRE, so that's pretty good. They're conduit for collaboration. Now that's really important as you see all the new tools that we ever get, whether it's the Farm Bill, the new categorical exclusion, they're all front load requirement for what? Collaborative work. You have to be collaborative in order to compete. And I think that is one of the other things besides the work on the ground the fire safe councils can do for us, as we are litigated on everything. If we go to court and it's not just Carol and me standing there in front of the judge, there's the multiple interests of the fire safe councils is the ticket, because they're not just one interest, they're multiple interests, and that's, I think, of extreme value. So yeah, conduit for collaboration. They serve as the Chamber of Commerce for fire issues. That was pretty good soundbite. Forest Service integrated vegetation ties directly to the fire safe council's projects, so they're dovetailed, and I think that is incredibly important. We're not working separate, even designing projects together. And I think we'll see some evidence of that, maybe today. Sharing risk and informing stakeholders. Undoubtedly, there's always in Northern California trust of federal government in what we say. Personal relationships can be very good and strong, yet the big picture, the fire safe councils, really can help us in meeting and talking with stakeholders and addressing even risk management. We are mutually successful and interdependent. A strong statement. And then I think, Heather, you said our political or administrative boundaries become blurred as we do our planning and work together. So thank you for that, and thank you for letting me come.
Thank you, Gabe.